Hello, 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 hello. Hello. Let's see. What do we have? What are we going to use? We're going to use. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, hi. Hi, everyone. I know, unexpected. Here I am. Oh my gosh. Hello. I had not planned to come on tonight, but I'm just hopping on quick here to talk about Colorado. Hello. No, not to talk about Colorado. To talk about this question and the legislation that was discussed this morning. So I was on a live real quick over here this morning to say hi to everyone over on the talk. Yes. Oh, thanks, Jackie. I appreciate that. My primary place where I'm doing my lives now is YouTube, but for tonight, because I had so many questions over here on the talk regarding this bill, I thought I'd come back tonight and just do a quick overview of it. Yes, so I will continue to go onto the YouTube. That's where I will have my primary lives, everyone. I had just popped on this morning to say hello to everyone. And a lot of people are asking about this particular bill in Mississippi. So I thought I'd come on back to the talk again real quick to come in and explain it. So good evening. Hello, Kaya. Hello. Yes. So I'm kind of, my plan again is primarily to be on the YouTube, but I think I'll kind of be hopping back and forth depending, but I'm not going to be exclusively here on TikTok because, we've only got a couple months left. So I will be here a little bit, for sure. And when we've got really big questions. So I don't even have my blue background, everybody. I just kind of tossed this together and turned on my camera. But this morning, I had come on and I just was saying hi to my TikTok people. And people were asking me about this bill that had been proposed in Mississippi. So for anyone who was not familiar with that, yes, I prefer, honestly, everyone, I do prefer YouTube as well. I think I'll be over here dabbling, but for sure, my forever home will be over on the tube. But we were talking about a House bill, and I think there's a Senate bill too that's comparable. In 1484 is the number, and this has to do with kind of putting these bounties out or bounty hunters out for undocumented immigrants, so undocumented people. And there are some really big questions, and rightfully so, because this is crazy. This is madness here. Yes, making the move over there permanent. Yes, exactly. And I think it's just, for me, it's a safer place for me to be over there. I was reading through the Blake Lively case, which I'm going to continue to read through her complaint and his counter complaint and so on. And a lot of that language would not have been allowed over here. So I'm thankful to be able to kind of hop back and forth. But hello, good evening, welcome. So this bill that's been proposed, everybody, let me just read the title here. And it's really something else. It's, something else. So it's an act to create the Mississippi Illegal Alien Certified Bounty Hunter Program to provide definitions to authorize bail bond agents and surety agents to enter the program to create the crime of the illegal trespass by an illegal alien, to bring forward sections 83-39- I'm sorry about that. Hold on. Yeah. We are forward sections. That's an 83-39-25 and 83-39-29 and 83-39-31 Mississippi Code of 1972. Which provide for bail agents and penalties for skipping bail for purposes of amendment and for related purposes. So that's kind of the title here. Yeah, this is a little different. And one of the reasons I wanted to go live was, I was looking through it and I thought, well, I could just post where to find it. But there's a lot of things in here that would be in direct violation of the U.S. Constitution. So I thought I would just hop on and kind of explain where the constitutional violations are within this bill that's being proposed. Okay, so someone's just proposed it. It's been, I don't think it's even been out on the floor yet, and I believe it was on the 22nd, actually. So it's been proposed. It's not gone through the full process, but let's just go through a couple of sections here, and I will kind of point out where the red flags are here. So the first section, we've got our definitions, which we need in any of our legal pieces. But number one, for purposes of this act, the following words shall have the meanings described herein. So let's take a look. And as we're going through this, I want you to remember, everyone, that equal protection applies to everyone within the jurisdiction of the United States, not just people with proper documentation. If you are within the jurisdiction of the United States, then that 14th Amendment equal protection applies to you. So let's just take a look real quick at that language so we don't get too messed up here. And here's the 14th Amendment. It states, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction therefore are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of the citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So keep that in mind, everybody. Section 1 here, it doesn't say you have to be a citizen. It just says if you are a person within the jurisdiction of the United States. So that's how we have our due process questions as well as our equal protection questions. So that's where we've got a lot of conflict coming in here. Here we go. It's number one, certified bounty hunter means a person who, one, possesses a valid unexpired license as a bail bond agent. Now, our licenses are controlled by our state law. General bail bond agent or surety recovery agent. And two, is certified under this act to find and detain illegal aliens in the state. Meaning there's got to be something that they have to do according to this act in order to obtain that certification. So 722 later. Yeah, so Lena, that one has to do with the personhood question. Let me, just for a second, everybody. I feel this is so important. I'm going to give it a shout out here. There is a congressional House bill right now that has been proposed, all right, in the U.S. Congress, in the House of Representatives. And it states to implement equal protection under the 14th Amendment to the Constitution for the right to life of each born and preborn human person. So we have this situation now where Congress, someone in Congress is proposing what kind of rights pre-birth humans have. This is huge. This is a huge issue. And I will be going through that much in more detail as we go on. But it's House Bill 722 for anyone who wants to look it up. All right, back in. I know, follow along here. I'm zipping through everything pretty quick tonight, but we'll get there. All right, so here we go. Now, the certification process is going to be within the bill, so we'll have to keep an eye out on that. But that is the first piece. We've got this bail bond agent situation. B, department means the Department of Public Safety. C, illegal alien means a person who's not lawfully present in the United States as defined and described under 8 U.S. Code Section 1101 as amended. D, life imprisonment means imprisonment for the duration of a person's natural life. So, yikes. E, peace officer means a duly certified law enforcement officer of a municipality, county, the state, or political subdivision of the state. So these are just our basic definitions here that will be only applicable to this particular bill. So the next piece, number 2, a person commits the offense of trespass by an illegal alien if such person A is an illegal alien, B knowingly enters this state and remains in this state, and C is physically present in this state at the time a licensed bounty hunter or a peace officer, let's flip our page here, apprehends such person. And then we'll hit number 3. But let's go back to the beginning of this, everyone. So, couple of things, right? So, trespass, we know what trespass is, right? Trespass can be both a criminal charge, typically as a very, very low misdemeanor, probably one of the lowest you can get, actually, one step up from speeding. So you can be charged criminally, but then there's also a civil definition for trespass. Now, trespass has certain elements. First of all, it's an intentional tort, which means you have to have the intent. Like, you know you're on someone else's property. You know you shouldn't be there and you don't leave. That is technically what our civil trespass is, as an intentional tort. All right. Now, let me explain something, though. There's a difference between public property and private property, right? So if you're coming into a state, any state, and you cross the border, let's just do state to state, all right? Let's do Nevada to Arizona, just random. So if you're crossing the Nevada line into Arizona, then are you in that moment trespassing into Arizona, as our hypothetical example here? Well, there's kind of a problem, because if I've got private property, if I have a business or a home, and I tell you you need to get off of my property, that's going to be a trespass situation, all right? But if you are going in from one state to another, that's public land. And you know, this kind of idea of once you put your foot in Arizona, you're trespassing in the state of Arizona. Wow, that's absolutely mind-boggling how that would work. Because in the U.S., you can travel around all you want, but to make it an offense to enter a particular state, that's kind of a mess. Now, but what if it is private property? That's fine. If it's private property, of course, you can have a trespass piece to it. Of course you can. You need to be good about it. I mean, meaning you can't just set up a booby trap for somebody. But yeah, of course, any trespass, and it doesn't matter if you've got documentation or you don't have documentation. If you're going onto private property and you're trespassing, then, you know, that's a problem. But here, the implication is if you just cross the border into my state, into Mississippi, then you're going to have this piece of law attached to you stating you're trespassing onto property that's not yours, right? So this is ridiculous. Has all kinds of extra money to blow. Oh my gosh, VC, I know. So this is our first big red flag, all right? Trying to charge people with a crime just for entering the state. That's a huge issue, right? We had this before when we had different kinds of segregation, right? So when we were in the land of segregation, certain people could only go into the state in certain ways. And that was, no, you're not allowed to do that. This would be another type of segregation. You either have your paperwork or you don't have your paperwork. And if you don't, then you're committing this offense. But if you do, then you're fine. So when you're trying to make public property in a state trespassable, you're going to have some problems. All right. Now, if we're looking at a park or we're looking at something like that that's federally owned land, they can put restrictions and they can put different boundaries or restrictions in play, but it cannot be so specific that you're targeting one group of people, because that would be a violation of equal protection, right? So that's really the primary piece that I want to point out for this, is that no matter if you have paperwork or you don't, you still have equal protection of the law. Now, this is not legal advice, everyone. This is me just talking to you about the Constitution, how the law works, all right? So if you have paperwork, if you don't have paperwork, and not only that, but it could be somebody who's broken out of confinement where they're supposed to have confinement, or anyone who's breaking the law, like maybe you're taking someone illegally from one state to another state. So you actually have other criminal offenses, right? So it's not just, you can't just say, well, this one particular crime, if you don't have proper paperwork, that's the only one that it applies to. Well, what about if someone's kidnapping someone? Then are they automatically trespassing? You know, this bill is so specific and is so setting out just one group of people to discriminate against that it applies to. It only applies to one group of people. We're going to have some serious equal protection issues. Now, as someone had said, if it is private property, that's a different deal. Of course, if it's private property and you have properly put signage up or done what you need to do to contain it so people know that it's private property, that's a different story. What about the life imprisonment part? Right, so we're only in definitions. All right, we're only in definitions. So we're going to move on further on down the road. But I really wanted to pull Section 2 out, all right? Lots of red flags in Section 2, just stating they're creating a criminal offense for someone without paperwork, which is how they describe it, who's not lawfully present in the United States as defined and described here. So you don't have proper paperwork, so now you're committing a crime, all right? So let's keep moving on here to the next piece. Number 3, the offense, again, they're trying to define this new crime that they are putting here, trespass. Now, let me just take a moment, everyone, and say, there are laws that need to be followed and paperwork that needs to be done, and like a in-person contact needs to happen if you're coming into the country from another country. Those are the rules. Are they great rules? Well, they don't work very great because of how they're implemented right now. But those are the rules. So if you come in and you don't have proper paperwork, that is a legal crime. Absolutely it is. But again, it's paperwork coming into the country. You don't have proper paperwork. So, let's kind of keep your perspective on that. And I'm not saying anyone should be walking around committing crimes. No, I'm not saying that. But again, this is a paperwork situation. So the offense of trespass by an illegal alien under this section is a felony, for which the authorized term of imprisonment is life imprisonment. So, right, this is the life imprisonment piece. Without eligibility for probation, parole, conditional release, or release except by an act of the governor or the natural unalive of such person. So this is subsection A. Let's see what subsection B says, and then we'll come back through and do the analysis. The provisions of this section shall not apply if the federal government enters into a written agreement with the department, again, to take such person into custody, and within 24 hours of such person being committed to the custody of the federal government. Good luck with that 24-hour, man. We're lucky if we can get someone taken to a mental health facility if they're catatonic, or having some real mental health issues. So 24 hours, that's completely unreasonable. Federal government deports such person. So a couple of huge red flags again here, everybody. First of all, designating what the federal government can do by the state, I don't know. That's questionable. But the biggest red flag, in my opinion, is that we come back up here to this life imprisonment. That is a clear violation of the Eighth Amendment, where we have cruel and unusual punishment. So this would be an Eighth Amendment violation. You might say again, well, you're not a citizen, so you don't have any rights. No, under equal protection, under the 14th Amendment, you still have to be treated equally with everyone else. So if everyone else they're saying a life imprisonment for walking across the state line is cruel and unusual, then that will apply to people without paperwork as well, right? You following me with that? So your state law is not allowed to violate the United States Constitution. So we've got a violation here, and then we have another state versus a federal power situation where the state is trying to, let me put federal government in here, The state's trying to say, well, if we can get a hold of the federal government within 24 hours and they decide to take you away and deport you, again, telling the federal government what they need to do. Maybe the federal government's like, we don't need to deport them. You made a mistake or, whatever. So again, we're designating by the state to the federal government what they're supposed to do, and that is the opposite of federalism, inappropriate federalism here. So we've already got some problems about this bill. It set precedent and now they're deep. Right, exactly. And that's why I was like, hey, let's go over it. I know I'm talking a little bit quick, everyone, but I have limited time tonight for my unplanned live. So again, just to review, in subsection 2, we've got a red flag regarding trespass. And this idea of just choosing people without paperwork, that's equal protection issue. It's the 14th Amendment issue. And then now for Section 3, we have an 8th Amendment issue. And I would say we've got, I don't know, we could look at this as Article 1. Let's just put our federalism questions under Article 1. We'll just do that. Congress will appreciate that. Shout out here. Yes, Mississippi state proposed bill. Let me grab a sticky note here, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm a bit rushed tonight. So, MISSISSIPPI, proposed, oh my goodness, proposed bill and then we'll just put up immigration here. Of course, if I spell anything wrong, everybody, I apologize ahead of time. That's just part of who I am now. Apparently, I just spell everything incorrectly and say names of people incorrectly as well. All right, here we go. So let's dive back in again. Yes, and I know there's some questions about tribal citizenship as well, and I'm not sure that this is actually the piece that we need for that. I think that's a different bill, but we'll take a look. So number 4. A person who commits the offense of trespass by an illegal alien, so, all right, shall be forever disqualified. Again, that's not an appropriate sentence here. A, registering and voting in any election under the laws of this state. B, securing any certificate of registration or authority, permit, or license to drive under the laws of this state. C, applying for and receiving any state or local public benefit offered by this state or political subdivision of this state. And D, becoming a legal resident of this state. So let's look again. So if I'm in New Mexico and I step across the border without the proper paperwork into Arizona, then I can never become a legal resident of Arizona. Right? Are we in cruel and unusual punishment again, where we are really overshooting here? Well, I shouldn't use that word, but we're really coming after somebody with saying, first of all, you're going to get life in prison, potentially. Second of all, even if you don't, you're never going to be able to be a legal resident in Arizona. Yeah, it's too much. Arizona, this is Mississippi, but too far. We've gone too far here for discrimination. And again, remember that 14th Amendment protects everybody's equal protections. Yeah, life in prison, right up here. Life imprisonment without eligibility for probation or parole or conditional release, except by an act of the governor or unless you pass away. So it's too much, right? The heck's happening? This is crazy. Well, I think this is a wonderful example, everyone, of what we saw a lot. I saw a lot of this happening, not as much last year, but the year before, when we had state legislatures just trying to toss all these bills all over the place because they were all one party. And so they're like, just push through as much as you possibly can, despite the fact that they knew it was unconstitutional. This is clearly unconstitutional. This language already, every paragraph is having a red flag on it, but they're still pushing it through. And it takes up time and energy in order to say to the person with this bill, like, wow, this is bananas. All right, so next up, each person who's apprehended under this section shall provide a DNA sample under the same procedures for collecting a DNA sample described by law. So this is questionable because a DNA sample can be gathered, but you have to meet a certain threshold of criminal activity, right? Like they're not giving you, you're not swabbing your cheek when they're pulling you over for going 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, right? You don't have to give them DNA for that. Now, if you get taken into jail, again, some of those lower misdemeanors, you don't have to do a DNA test. So this, I would say, is very questionable for the Fourth Amendment. This would be a violation here. Legal citizens, if you are here illegally, it doesn't apply. That's not true, Jahan. That is not true. And let's look real quick one more time at the 14th Amendment. You've got to be careful with that because not only are citizens protected, but there is protection for anyone within the jurisdiction of the United States. All right, so here we go. Let's look again. 14th Amendment, Section 1. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States, right? So that's that birthright citizenship, which an executive order cannot take away, and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law, which is what this is. They're making and trying to enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, right? But nor shall any state deprive any person, doesn't say any citizen, of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So in due process of law, a big piece of that is going to be following the proper constitutional guidelines, nor deny to any person, again, it doesn't say citizen, within its jurisdiction, the equal protection of the laws. All right, so a state cannot make a law that denies a person within their jurisdiction equal protection. All right. So that's why we're using the 14th Amendment. That's the language in the 14th Amendment. Now, if someone comes in and says, so what, they've got a right to vote? No. What we're saying is they have due process and equal protection under the laws. And if we're going and doing a violation of the Fourth Amendment, that's a due process violation. Or an Eighth Amendment, cruel and unusual situation, again, another due process violation, right? Not being able to vote is not a due process violation. This one say that they have to be convicted. I ask because, right, no, it's not at this point. We can go back up here and say, under this section of the is a felony which authorized a term of imprisonment is life without eligibility for probation here. And again, the offense itself, it's not saying there you have to guarantee a conviction, although it is implied, I would think, from this language. All right, let's dive back in here and kind of pull this apart a little bit. So is deporting part of due process or a violation of? So there, what we get into when it comes to deportation, we have a set of rules that have to be followed. And so long as those rules are followed, you have due process. So you have proper due process. If the rules set out for, if you don't have paperwork, then, you're out the door. The rules in place have to be used. And as long as they're followed, you don't have a due process argument. All right. So it is perfectly legal and possible to deport people so long as you follow the procedures. Here, we don't have we don't have that situation because the procedures themselves are looking as though they're constitutional violations. Hello again. Hello. Of course. I'm glad to clarify. This whole area of the law is really, it's hard to wade through. That's why it's so important to get an immigration attorney or immigration paralegal if you've got questions, if you are looking down that road. I'm not an immigration attorney, everyone, but I do know the Constitution pretty well. And so when I can see conflicts with the Constitution in a bill that's being presented, I'm going to be like, hand up, I've got a problem with that. So let's take a look here at the next piece. So again, we've got a DNA sample regarding anyone who's apprehended. It doesn't say convicted, and maybe that's what you're talking about, Navy vet, but conviction was not needed in order to have a swab taken, all right? Right. Immigration lawyer here. Really? Oh, we love that. We love that. Immigration attorneys, man, I tell you. I yeah, they're right now, they're like hot potatoes. All right, number 6, the department shall develop and maintain an information system that operates at all times and provides various means to receive and maintain reports of violations of this act. So this is where we're starting to get into how they're going to catalog information about people. All right, so that's, keep your eyes on that. Number 2, the various means of receiving such reports shall include, but are not limited to, a toll-free telephone hotline. So I think this is really the cornerstone, everyone, of this particular law, is they're trying to put a hotline in place where people can call in and say, I think that this person is an illegal immigrant. Using the language of the bill, I think this person doesn't have their paperwork, or that person doesn't, or the people here don't. So this would be a toll-free telephone number, and you would call in and tell them your suspicions. Anyone see a problem with that? I mean, come on, right? Come on. You're mad at your neighbor, then put it into the hotline, right? Maybe your kid has a new boyfriend, girlfriend you don't like, call the hotline. Your dad made you mad, you're 15, call the hotline, right? We can see how this could be terribly abused, and how in the past, when there has been a situation where they're like, do you know anybody that's around here that has a particular religion? Can you let us know? I mean, we're walking a line here on that. So the telephone hotline for crimes, I think that's fine. I don't see a problem with that for all crimes, because we're treating all crimes and criminals the same. But if you have a special hotline just for this situation, now we're getting again into some scary territory. Also, an email address could be used. Online reporting portal could be used. The department periodically publicized the hotline, telephone number, email address, internet website address, and any other means by which the department may receive such reports. So again, this is a questionable situation here. Very questionable. Here's part B. Gardener of the Roofer's Brow. Exactly. Wives will hide their husband's ID. Well, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Whoa, everyone in the chat, you're all over this. Absolutely. Okay, here's part B, and I'm not going to read through the whole bill. We'll just kind of pull some of the big issues out here for tonight. But here's B. A person who makes a report under this section may choose to remain anonymous until the person affirmatively consents to having the person's identity disclosed. So you can be anonymous when you're calling in here, right? This reminds me a little bit, Anger tap the screen. This reminds me a little bit too of, which most people will not be aware of, is the McCarthy days, right? This is a huge moment where everyone looks left, looks right, which one is a communist, and then let's report it to the cops. And it's all anonymous, right? So you can go in and report whomever you want. And literally, like, your neighbor isn't raking their leaves, so they must be a communist, so let's call in. So lots of problems doing it this way. The information system shall be staffed by 65 off-duty peace officers. That's very specific. Off-duty peace officers, retired peace officers, and any other peace officer deemed qualified by the department to staff the information system. That's a really big question. So these cops are like, dude, I've retired. And they're like, nope, come back in and answer the phones. Oh my gosh, it's a lot. I don't see a constitutional violation here because we don't have any work rights in the Constitution. D, if an illegal alien is arrested and imprisoned under this section as a result of a report to the information system, the person who made the report shall be eligible, all right, so it's only possible to receive a reward of $1,000 for providing such report. So this is the other big piece that's been hitting the news, everyone. If you tip them off and it leads to arrest and imprisonment, you could get $1,000. All right. So a couple things with this is we do offer these kinds of incentives for information on criminals, right? If you know of something that's going on, or when they're working on a particular crime, and if you see this person, there can be rewards offered. So although this looks like, wow, that's really discriminatory, we're going to give you $1,000 just for a tip if it plays out, I want to really emphasize that this happens with a lot of crimes. This crime tip hotlines do this quite a bit. So this particular piece of it is normal. This part is, we've got a crime, and if you give us information, we're going to give you $1,000. There is that. But on the other hand, what are we going to have here? We're going to have people calling in constantly because all we know is that they don't have their paperwork. Now, if you see a particular person and they're like, if you see this guy, $50,000, right? Or if you saw people breaking into the apartment, call this number, we'll give you a reward, is a lot different from if you can identify somebody without proper paperwork and call it in at least arrest, right? How many people are going to call in constantly all day, every day, and hope that somebody gets arrested and imprisoned so that you can get your $1,000 reward? So the reward itself is what the problem is. It's the parameters of what you need to do in order to get that reward that would be an issue. Sending them, well, right. So that could be, we all see now how this could be an issue. This, in my opinion, is another equal protection issue. It's another discrimination piece that could be a severe problem. All right, bumping down number 7 to A, the department shall develop and implement the Mississippi Illegal Alien Certified Bounty Hunters Program, which is hereby created to certify applicants to the program as certified bounty hunters for the purposes of finding and detaining illegal aliens in this state under this section. So, all right, we got this bounty hunter, which I think they're trying to use this as a loophole because they're saying, well, we're just bounty hunters. We're not trying to get into immigration law or kind of step on the Fed's toes here. And they're saying they're going to create this bounty hunter program. Now, I don't know exactly what the code says in Mississippi, but we're creating something that's going to be licensed and certified. Those are under the 10th Amendment. States can do that. But on the other hand, are we getting into ICE territory, right? So we're going to just call them bounty hunters because we can't call them ICE because that's a federal program. So this, I would say, is questionable as well. The program shall be administered by the department under the following application and certification procedures. So now we're getting into the weeds of how to become an illegal alien bounty hunter here. A person who possesses a valid unexpired license as a bail bond agent, general bail bond agent, or surety recovery agent under sections may apply to the department to be certified as a licensed bounty hunter. Now, something about bounty hunters too, or even for bail bond agents, typically, and again, I don't know Mississippi law, but typically in our states, they have a little bit different set of rules. They can go a little bit further than regular police officers. If you've got bond out on someone and a contract's been signed, then your right to privacy may be different. If in that contract it says you can come into my home and get me in order to get the bond sorted. But because of that, our bond agents and bounty hunters have a little bit different set of rules, but we're not looking at that kind of situation. So we don't know exactly how these kind of looser rules or ways to kind of circumvent the normal Fourth Amendment right to privacy issues. We don't know how that's going to work if you're just looking for someone without proper paperwork. Right. All right. So next up, number 2, the department shall accept applications filed in a manner established by rule and on a form prescribed by the department. A completed application shall contain 1, the date of the application, 2, applicant's signature, 3, a copy of the person's valid unexpired license as a bail bond agent, general bail bond agent, or surety recovery agent under sections 4. A mailing address where the applicant can be contacted by the department for purposes of receiving first-class mail, legal documents, and certified mail. 5, a telephone number or numbers where applicant can be called by the department. And practical question, where is Mississippi getting all of the money to do this? They don't have it, right? They don't have it. You can create all of the different pieces that you want, but then you go into the budget bills or appropriations committee and they're like, well, what are you even talking about? Like, we don't even have enough money to print cards for the person in charge of this, right? That's a huge issue, huge. So that's why a lot of times these bills with this language is overwhelming. Like, oh my God, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But then when you looked at the practical piece of it, where's the money coming from? They're going to have to take it from somewhere. So something is going to lose out because the money needs to be there on the one hand. And on the other hand, when they do this kind of stuff, is there's so many different kinds of constitutional violations that, you know, all it takes is one person being pulled in under this code section, you got a lawsuit, and it works its way all the way through the judicial system. Where are they going to detain all of them? It's a good question. That's also a valid question. We can't even, and whenever we talk about these detention situations, everyone, the first thing that pops into my head is we don't even have enough room for criminals who've been prosecuted, found guilty by juries, should be in prison, perhaps much like those pardoned in January 6th, which is a bad situation, everybody. But these people have already been convicted of crimes, and we don't have enough beds for them, right? So a lot of our prisons are falling below basic human suffering issues. It's a huge problem here. And they're saying, well, let's privatize prisons. Like, eventually, the entire United States is going to be just a bunch of prisons, right? And we're just going to be walking around all of the prisons at this point. So because we have the highest number of people going into prison. Now, we do that because we have so many laws, right? Law and order. But on the other hand, you got to kind of look at your laws as well. Who will sue for migrants? ACLU will, absolutely. Does the paperwork showing they're wanting them on their court dates process to it? Here, I don't know yet, Jennifer. It's a great question. Yeah, private prisons, exactly. Which, of course, what kind of rules and standards for basic human rights have. So it could be definitely an issue for sure. Citizen of your great grandfather who started this country. Well, right. I mean, I don't even know what to say about that anymore, everyone. Now that all of the diversity language is being removed from everything all over the place, I don't even know what to say about that. All right, here we go. Now they're going into more details on how to become this bounty hunter person. So I'm just going to move past C here. A is hereby created in the state treasury, the Mississippi Illegal Alien Certified Bounty Hunter Program Fund, which shall consist of monies appropriated by the General Assembly. So again, the General Assembly, they're going to have to pull money from one pot and put it into this one. The state treasurer shall be the custodian of the fund. The state treasurer may approve disbursements. I think somebody said Elon Musk would donate. Could be. I mean, yeah, if you've got all this money, like when do you have enough money? Can I just ask that question? At what point do you have enough money that you just don't need to even make any more money? Does that ever happen, or is that just not one of the tenets of capitalism? I'm just curious about that. I mean, can we get a number here? How much money do you need to have? And then you're like, okay, that's it. I don't need any more money. Oh my gosh, yeah, it was really bad. When you can start giving it away to those who are in, right. Nobody ever feels like that. Well, right. I mean, you can only have so many yachts. You can only have so many homes or so many fur coats, or, there. Eventually you're going to be like, I really don't need another fur coat. Then you start going a little bit bonkers and you get involved in politics then. All right, moving forward. The fund shall be a dedicated fund upon appropriation. Monies in this fund shall be used solely to provide monies to the department for the implementation and administration of this section. I suppose they could probably charge for the certification and whatever certification training. I suppose you could charge for that, but that's still not going to cover everything. They use it to buy power. Exactly right. That's exactly right. B, notwithstanding the provisions of this section, to the contrary, any monies remaining in the fund at the end of the biennium shall not revert to the credit of the general revenue fund. Ooh, all right. The state treasurer shall invest monies in the fund in the same manner as other funds are invested. Come on, could this language be any more broad? Any interest and monies earned on such investments shall be credited to the fund. The Mississippi Attorney General and the prosecuting attorney or circuit attorney of each county shall prosecute charges filed under this section. So hold on a minute, man. You were just talking about how it's going to be funded, and now you're talking about enforcement. Like, this should probably be a new paragraph. Who wrote this? Any rule or portion of a rule. Okay, so the department may promulgate all necessary rules and regulations for the administration of this section, just like they would for any kind of a crime. Any rule or portion of a rule, as that term is defined in this section, that is created under the authority delegated in this section shall become effective only if it complies with and is subject to all of the provisions. All right, that's just regular language again for any kind of a criminal situation. So let's skim through this. Right here, they're just going through the bounty hunter rules that they have in Mississippi here. Again, here's more of the bounty hunter rules, information to be given to the district attorney. So I'm just kind of fast forwarding through those pieces where they're just rereading, going through the Mississippi law there. We've got more Mississippi code here. And then they're talking about, again, posting a bail bond, surety bond, and then what you need to do in order to qualify here, continuing to go on. But let's grab a piece here and say what's going to happen to the defendants, right? What's going to happen to the people that get called in. And can you even imagine, too, by the way, let's put this in there as another factor in this situation. The police, the law enforcement is so underfunded. I mean, for years and continue, much like our teachers. And so how are you going to get enough bodies? How are you going to get enough people to do this on top of the regular law enforcement duties they already have? That's one of the questions I had on the executive orders as well. Like, you're going to give all of these extra duties to people that are already barely keeping their head above water in these departments already. And then you're going to give all of these extra tasks too. And we have a hiring freeze, so you can't get any help. You're not going to be making any more money. I mean, what's going to happen to the people trying to enforce this stuff? It's just like, yikes. Now, the people answering the phone, that's one thing, but people going out and actually enforcing the law enforcement, they have to have certain levels of certification. All right, so upon each defendant charged with a criminal offense who's released on his own recognizance, who deposits his driver's license in lieu of bail, or who is released after arrest. I thought they're saying you can't have a driver's license. After arrest on written promises to appear, there's an imposed a fee of $20 to be collected by the clerk of court when the defendant appears in court. This is just boilerplate language out of the regular criminal code. It is not specific to this situation, and it doesn't seem to actually be proper, right? Because again, are you going to be let go on your own recognizance? It says like within 24 hours, if you're not taken care of, feds are going to come in and deport you. So this particular section just doesn't even seem applicable. 3, upon each defendant convicted of a criminal offense who appeals his conviction and posts the bond conditions for his appearance, there's an imposed fee equal to 2% of the face value of each bond, or $20, whichever is greater. If such defendant is released, and see, they didn't put down how much, is released on his own recognizance pending appeal, there is imposed a fee of $20. The fee imposed by this shall be imposed and shall be collected. Again, this doesn't fit, does it? they're saying, well, if you get out on bond, we're going to follow the same rules as any other criminal case. But they've already said earlier in the bill, we've got 24 hours to work in this situation. And not only that, but they need to be behind bars so that they can't leave. I mean, this is a life imprisonment charge. If you step 2 feet into this state without proper paperwork, that's a lifetime prison situation. So this is not working as well. So let's go in here. This one either. So no fees are going to be implied if the conviction's reversed. So each of these, this is boilerplate language they've pulled from other crimes and is just not appropriate for this new crime that they're putting together. I can't even make Thanksgiving dinner in 24. I know, right? Right? Oh my gosh. I tell you what, when you give attorneys that kind of a timeline that's that close, bad things are going to happen. That's a hangry attorney coming after you. All right, next. State auditor shall establish by regulation procedures providing for a timely collection, deposit accounting, and where applicable, refund of the fees. And so this is, again, just general language needed for any kind of new crime that they're putting into play, but not set specifically for this kind of crime, this new crime that they're inventing. Cut and paste, exactly right. How much does it cost to keep someone in prison? That's a great question. That's a very good question. Back in the olden days, people used to say it's more expensive for people to be in a capital punishment situation than life in prison. Like life in prison is much more expensive, but I don't know if that's true anymore because of some of the problems that we've had with the capital punishment issue that we continue to have with the capital punishment issue. All right. 6, it shall be the duty of the clerk or any officer of the court authorized to take bonds and recognizances to promptly collect, blah, blah, blah. So again, more cut and paste here. In all cases, the clerk and officer of the court shall deposit all fees. I'm moving down to number 7. In addition to the fees imposed by this section, there shall be an assessment of $10 imposed upon every criminal defendant charged with a criminal offense who posts a cash bail bond. Again, I'm not sure they're going to want to have bond be posted here. Surety bail bond, a property bail bond, or a guaranteed arrest bond to be collected. So this, again, is language that's not, that hasn't been changed enough to apply properly to this bill, this proposed crime that they're putting in place here. So there you go, everyone, and it will start taking place July 1st. So friendly reminder, this is something that's just being proposed by the House of Representatives in Mississippi. I believe there is another one in the Senate in Mississippi, and it's probably just this, because apparently cut and paste is really all they've got going for them here. But what they're trying to do is designate a new crime. They're trying to make it so that you are trespassing if you don't have proper paperwork. And that crime, that offense, is now going to be called trespass by an illegal alien. We're going to have a hotline where people can call in, and if their tip leads to an arrest or prison, then they get $1,000. And if the person who is trespassing isn't taken care of within 24 hours, then, it's a life in prison situation. And they will never be allowed to become a citizen of the state. So, I don't know how bad that is, but on the scale of cruel and unusual punishment, that's pretty bad. Supreme Court doesn't like it when you deny citizenship when it should be properly there. Which is hard to say anything that is not negative about the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court's kind of, unpleasant at the moment. Life's crazy. Yeah, exactly. Average cost to keep an individual in, here, let me move this up. Individual in jail is $116.91 a day. All right, that's good to know. And then I think they get paid for hard labor, like they get paid $2 or something like that a day. Mississippi education level can be seen through this bill. Now, that I don't know. That I really don't know. The basics, everybody, the fundamental basics in education are slipping through the fingers of the people. So, but you don't know what you don't know, right? So you're like, oh, I went to school, so I must know. And no, I think it's an issue. It was written in Missouri. Now, someone had said that this was a Missouri situation. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that, that helps much. Life in jail if their case can't get taken care of within 24 hours. Because if the feds don't take care of it, then you're going to have life in prison. But let's take a look at that section again. All right, everyone, because it's so important. The offense of trespass by an illegal alien under this section is a felony. Now, it doesn't say what level felony, right? Is it an A, B, or a C? That's just basic legislation drafting problems here, for which the authorized term of imprisonment is life. So that would be a Class A felony. So it's the same as premeditated homicide, right? Although I'm not sure if Mississippi has capital punishment or not. I just don't know. But term of imprisonment is life imprisonment without eligibility for probation, parole, conditional release, or release except by act of the governor or natural unalive of such person. The provisions shall not apply if the federal government enters into a written agreement with the department. So federal government has to be involved to take such person into custody within 24 hours of such person being committed to the custody of the federal government and then deport such person. So that's exactly right. The way that you had summarized, it's correct. So the federal government comes in and talks to them about this particular person, then you're fine. But if not, you're looking at life in prison. Again, the highest level of punishment that anyone in the United States can receive, no matter how heinous your crime is, you could get life imprisonment with no possibility of parole. That's the harshest penalty. Again, premeditated homicide. And that can happen if you don't have proper paperwork. Yeah. So that's, again, where we've got this Eighth Amendment question. Huge Eighth Amendment question. Feds need volunteer to transport them. That's a great question too, right? I mean, the feds are like, why do you keep calling us every 4 minutes? We've got other stuff to do. And that's that whole problem of, you got these great grand ideas, or, you're the ideas guy. That's great. But when you actually put it down on paper and try to actually make it happen, then you see all of the problems for it. How do we suddenly have tons of money? Exactly right, Sarah. That's right. I'm like, what? Your $20 court fee is not going to be paying for the kind of work that they would need to do here to implement. And I'm not sure that this is something that they're expecting to actually pass in real time, or if it's, performative. If this is just to get people talking about this idea that illegals are bad because illegals are bad. I'm sorry. People without proper paperwork are illegals, and then illegals are bad. And when you're bad, you go to prison forever. Like that's the piece. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to pass. Prison industry in Mississippi is atrocious. Oh my gosh. The prison industry in the entire United States, everybody, is just atrocious. I would say, in my humble opinion, the animals taken to a shelter are treated a lot better and are more humanely put to unalive. I would have to say that. And it's heartbreaking because, look, I don't have a lot of empathy for people that do bad things. I really don't. But I also am like, this is still a human being. We've got this bill in the House of Representatives saying, well, pre-birth human rights. Well, what about basic human rights for a human that's actually been born, who's alive walking around? Can we have some basic human rights on that? So it's very frustrating to me, the prison system here, not because I'm like, poor people. No, I don't care about the poor people. I care about the fact that they're being treated inhumanely. Like, that part's on us. That's not on them. Right? You want to put them in there forever or put them through capital punishment? That's your call. But in the end, it's like, let's be humane about it. That's my soapbox for that. That really frustrates me a lot. And I am not for a capital punishment. I do not believe that capital punishment is appropriate. Perhaps if we brought the guillotine back, which is the cleanest, most efficient, most humane way of doing it, perhaps I might be able to get on board. But I am not for the capital punishment. But I am for the law that says states can decide and the federal government can decide. I am for that, and I respect the choice that other states make. I personally do not live in a state that has the unalive penalty, and that was one of my factors in order to stay in the state. That's how I feel about it. The final incident in France, I saw something going on. I saw some protests going on, but I've not been in to research it yet. I'll have to take a look. I tell you, everybody, we're not the only ones here. There's something going on. I don't know what's going on exactly. There must be something in the water in the entire world. I don't know. But there's trouble, I tell you, everybody. There's trouble in River City. Oh, my goodness gracious. There's trouble going on. Canada, France, Germany, Italy's got some issues. I don't know. I think I heard something about Portugal not long ago. Albania's got problems. New Zealand's got, oh my gosh, Australia's got problems. Like every day, somebody's coming in and saying, wow, there's some issues here. Now, I'm not going to say that about the Scandinavian countries because all I've heard is that Denmark's not going to sell Greenland. That's all I've heard about the Scandinavian countries, but come on, right? We got problems. Mississippi decided to pass this law. You'd be against it, correct? Well, right. I think it's unconstitutional. Yes, I think that this language violates the federal constitution. So I would be against it. I'm against any law that violates the constitution. Absolutely. Yep. Serbia, that's right. Oh, Serbia's been through so much. And Herzegovina. They've been through a lot. Need to build an underground country. Well, there are still hints of that. This is the path to 1930s Germany. So, I think the ideology that led to the troubles in Germany, and I say troubles to keep the algorithm away, are a big piece of it. But honestly, we're not really in the same situation. We're not hitting the level of desperation and apathy that Germany hit for that Second World War. And the only reason I say that is because after World War I, there was such a huge debt and the country was so bankrupted that, things were really bad, really super bad, and like worse than our depression and Dust Bowl. And that's saying something because that Dust Bowl was a maniac. So they were in such a terrible situation. I'm not saying that as an excuse. I'm just drawing parallels here. And we are not in that level of a desperation situation. We have not hit that low point that Germany was in that allowed for that situation to happen. And also remember too, the German Congress agreed. And they said, we want out. Here you go. Here's the keys to the kingdom. And, we want out. And our Congress certainly is not giving anybody any keys. So a couple of things just to remind you gently of when it comes to Germany. Now, the ideology and the methodology, yes, there's a lot of similarities. But the practical piece of it that actually led to the real situation, those characteristics, those elements are not there. Where's the tipping point? Good question. Too close, though. We're closer than I'm comfortable with, I would say, absolutely. Should have never gotten this close. I'm definitely not as comfortable with how close we are. Any idea when HR 22 will be out for us to see? Well, let's take a look and see where HR 22 is right now. It is in the House Judiciary Committee. So if you want to look up any specific bill, you can go online to the specific committee the bill is in, and you can see I think they've got like their agendas that they set out or a brief outline of what things are coming. And so you can kind of track it that way. And I think there's a way you can sign up for notifications as it moves as well. So go on into the House Judiciary Committee and see what's going on there, because that's where the movement needs to be. If it passes, the House Judiciary Committee, then, it's time to get the signs going and the guitars out. Did we sing anymore, everyone, at the sit-ins? Are we still singing or not? I'm gonna give gifts. Oh, yes. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, Kristen. I know we've got... We're kind of in a delicate situation over here on the talk, everybody. That's why I'm moving. Like, I can't live with uncertainty. That's just not my wheelhouse. So I'm moving over to the tube. But I will be over here kicking the tires, driving it around, making sure it still runs. You don't leave it parked for too long. But yeah, we gotta be careful here over on the talk. There's some weird stuff going on. I want there to be singing. All right, yeah, let's get the guitars, get the ukes. Let's go. Oh my gosh, a video of people singing in Germany. Yes, it was. I mean, come on, it's the music. The music of the time is what really changed so many things. And when I talk to anybody who has done the hard work in the trenches in the 60s and 70s, then they're like, it was the music, man. Music helped them get up every day and walk through their day. So I think that's really, really important. Nails are so pretty. Oh, thank you so much. These are my ruby nails tonight. Certain days in the lives on the tube. So I don't have particular days set out. Unfortunately, my life is just not conducive to be able to prep like that. But the timing is really the way to find me. Either I will be on at 10 a.m. Central, or 7 p.m. Central. So those two time slots are when you can catch me over on the tube, but some days I'm there, some days I'm not there. And the community link on the YouTube page, if you go over to community, every day I will put up a note saying, I'll be on at 7, this is what the topic is, or I'll be coming in, this is what the topic is, or I'm not going to make it tonight. So I post there every day as basically my announcement piece. So if you check that community tab, you can see whether or not it's confirmed or not. But that's kind of the best I can do with my life right now. Will you go to Blue Sky? I am on Blue Sky. The one thing though with Blue Sky is that, I was never into the Twitters. I was never a tweeter. And so everyone's like, oh, it's like old school Twitter. And I'm like, that's great. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm there. I try to be in there, try to post a few times a day for sure, but I'm not very good at it. So I need to bump up my Blue Sky game. I need to do better. Do better, right? I do. I need a better plan. I'm on Substack too, and I'm over there. I'm like, this is so cool because in my opinion, Substack feels a lot like TikTok. It really feels a lot, in my opinion, out of all the other apps. I think that one really gets that TikTok energy going, but I also don't really know how to use it properly. So I'm just stumbling around bull in a china shop. Yes. Steve. Okay, let me write that down before I forget. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm in the Substack too. And honestly, I think if it was user friendly, which I don't really feel that it is at the moment for me and my old lady brain, but I think if it could be a bit more user friendly, I think it could easily replace TikTok. And I mean no disrespect to TikTok other than the fact that life is uncertain, other than the fact that it's going to be going down. We're going to be yelling timber, everyone. Okay. We've got maybe a couple months in here, but after that, it's going to get dicey. Things are going to get dicey here. Oh, I know, right, Kelly? Right? I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the problem is the operator, exactly, Brenda. I'm like, no, this is a great app. I just don't know how to use it or open it or do anything with it. And then, of course, for me, anytime I have an app, I have to have everything turned off for privacy. So no microphone, no photos, nothing. And so anytime I go into an app, I have to turn everything back on. And then I go in and I'm like, I don't know how to do this. And then I go back out and I have to turn everything off again. So it's kind of time consuming. I'm like, it takes a lot to try to get my privacy in here, man. So that's the other thing too. So I'm working on it. YouTube is definitely where I'm putting the majority of my energy right now. And I had hoped to actually make a full move to YouTube a couple of months ago, but the timing just didn't work out for me. Can you read it again? Oh, Linda, I should, hopefully, fingers crossed, everybody. This live should be recorded so that I can put it directly up on my tube of you. So if the stars align, that's what should be going on. And if it doesn't, I'll probably come back and do another live going through this one again. Yeah, it's meant to annoy you. Yeah, and it does. And like its destiny has been completed with that. Yes, well done. If that was your goal met. Oh, yes. So I think I'm just really careful about all of that. So but with that, everyone, tonight was kind of a little bonus here because I'm so thankful for everyone that popped on this morning about 10 o'clock, and we were just hanging out and saying hello. I've missed you all. Thanks for doing these readings. I never make it through. Oh, I know. I'm glad you could come by and hang out. And, again, to kind of close that question up this morning regarding what's going on with this bill. So very important. And if there are other bills that you have in your state, like we've been talking about House Bill 722, and there are several bills, again, that the U.S. Congress is looking at that I've got question marks about too. But if you've got any particular ones, just grab one of my most recent posts and write it on there, and I'll just start making a list. So, you're most welcome, Frank. And Navy Vet, good to see you as always. And my moderators who are amazing. Thank you so much for being flexible. I had originally intended to go to the tube tonight, but I was like, man, I can't make it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I better talk about this law. So have a great night, everybody. I'll let you all go and take care. And again, those 2 times are the best way to find me. So I'll be over on the tube mostly, but I may pop back. Take care, everybody.